Good evening, I'm Zaganat. Welcome to the studio. And let's hope the studio holds up tonight. Because I've just got some software that decided it was going to install itself. Or update itself. And it's taking an awfully long time. It's been running for about 15 minutes. And given the amount of actual software that's being downloaded, it's capturing an awful lot. But anyway, so I'll have to keep an eye on things, and hopefully things don't suddenly stop working. I am doing what colour? Number 4, I think. Number 5 isn't open, which it isn't. Yeah, okay, so number 4. Right. I'm a little concerned. We're running about 85% CPU, which is quite a bit. OBS itself is only taking about 30, and there's about another 10% for one of its processes, but actually thinking about it, what I should have done is restart the whole PC. Never mind. do that after the stream now. Okay, so would do that, wouldn't he? Pair of tweezers. So there was a dot here that got stuck to the side of the pen. There we go. So at some point shortly I will need to just go BRB, which is right now, so I shall be back in a moment. Right, he's back. Thank you for that, for putting it with me disappearing. But I'm back now. So what? I've completely forgotten. That was something I was expecting to need to do, which I knew would interrupt the stream, but that's now done. So I'm not expecting any more interruptions. Although I have just realised I haven't had any tea yet today. So for some reason I just haven't been feeling particularly hungry, but I can guess now that I've just realised I don't have any tea, I'm going to start feeling hungry soon. But we should be okay. been a bit of an odd day today, with meals at a particularly odd sort of time, and yeah, just odd things happening today. Well, it's been quite a fun day. I've had a little bit of opportunity to play a game today, so I've been playing Factorio for a while. Just about an hour this evening. Which has been quite fun, doing it in a different way to which I have done it before, so I haven't even got all the, for those of you that play Factorio, as you know, there's six research levels. I've only got 4 of them, and so far, and I already have loads of trains going around all over the place, and it's been a case of, if I'm going to build it, I'll build it big. You know, usual thing with obviously beginners, of which I am one. You've always start with. I kind of, well, I suppose the very first game I played, I started with 1 furnace, but quickly scaled up, and I haven't been quite that bad for a while. But this time I just went literally big, sort of 4 iron column smelters to start with, starting with, and as soon as I got trains, everything was done sort of remotely, like the smelting is done in its own area. So it's kind of ready to be scaled up, which I will need to do for blue circuits. For those of you that know, I'll need to ramp up the red circuit production, which is already at 2 circuits per second. Well, it's not. It's at 2 circuits per second, but with the blue factories, as opposed to the green ones. Second level anyway, not the top level, so it's 0.75 factor, isn't it? So it's not quite mega base type thing, but it's mega base style. So I've just been taking my complete time with it, building things big and taking a while to get there, but I'm now about to start purple and yellow signs. So. That's taken a few weeks of play. No, that's right. It's taken a few weeks of which I've been playing, but I haven't had a few weeks of play. If that kind of makes sense. I've actually been trying to find time today to do some work on a 3D printer. Kind of be nice to finish that build. Actually, it would also be nice to finish a lot of the other builds as well, like the laser cutter. It's a tiny laser cutter. Won't cut much, and it will laser etch wood, which is why I got it to play with, because I like pyrography. So laser pyrography seems like a good idea. In a way, it's a pity that the laser has to be extremely well focused on the wood, because otherwise I'd be tempted to just build a foot controlled intensity switch and then use it handheld, just as a way of applying pyrography. But I can't hold it that accurately. I'm just thinking, what else have I got? What else have I got? I've got is it a Leopard 2A6 main battle tank remote control to complete that I should get around to doing at some point. This is on top of the art projects like this, and numerous cross stitches, a few. I've got about 3 or 4 on the go, I think, plus some bugs, and yeah, but that's the job, not a thing to do. That's half started. I suppose the low loader is another thing that's half started, so I ought to do some more work on. That's the scratch built 1/12 scale low loader, which will be towed by one of the remote control trucks I've got. Actually, I've got one of those to do as well as a kit, which I've not started yet, but would be a good thing to get on with. So what is it? What's that? What is it? No, it's a Volvo. Oh, okay, a Volvo 2+2. You know what? I'm suddenly thinking. I'm trying to remember now. Okay, yeah, 4x2. You know, so with trucks, they generally classify them. You get numbers like 4x2x2 or 4x2 or 6x4, and that refers to, first number is the number of wheels ish. Wheel set perhaps is a better description. Then your next number is the number of driving wheel sets, or 6x4, 4 driving wheels, and then you get another number sometimes, which is the number of steering axles, I think. So you get something like 6x4, 6x4x2. So I've got a Volvo kit to put together, which has only got 4 wheel sets. I like more wheels, so I've got a Scania 6x4, which has got 6 wheel sets. Which I don't know if you've actually seen on stream, but I didn't build it on stream. So that's one that I also have a scale trailer for it, which is a refrigerated trailer, 1/12 scale. That's big actually. You know, it doesn't sound much, but it's 1 foot for every 12 feet. And if you think a 30-foot trailer is 30 foot, that's almost 3 foot long one as a model. So I've got the Volvo to build, just because I wanted 2 different trucks. So I got 2 different ones like that. At one point I wanted all those kits, but it's kind of, I just want them to build, I don't want them to actually drive. There's a box one that looked neat as well, which I wanted at one point. What was this thing? Oh yes, I've also got a tanker trailer as well. I should get... Yeah, I've got lots of them. Okay, I think this year ought to be the year of finishing things. So that may be what I'll end up doing on stream, is doing some of these kits, finishing some of these kits off, and that I've got like that, like the trailers. And I mentioned a low loader. That's not a kit, that's I've designed that from scratch, and I've got some of the parts to build that. And the idea of the low loader is that I can put the tank on it. The tank is a slightly different scale. I think the tank is 1/14 scale and the trucks are 1/12. So it's slightly smaller than it should be, but it's still big, and it doesn't look out of place next to the trucks. So the trucks can pull the tank, and that's the idea of it. And then I've got some more stuff because I want to scratch build. Probably a bus. I just don't know what sort of bus yet, because I've got two things in mind for the bus. One is like a rock band tour, or rock band, a band tour bus. They're all kind of fancy inside. You've got beds upstairs, you've got seating areas, kitchen, that sort of thing. Kind of a nice thing to do, or an interesting thing to do. The other thing I was thinking about is doing what will be a bendy bus, just because it's bendy, and that would be interesting because it's a trailer pushing the bus itself. Because with bendy buses, the engine's in the back, and it's generally close coupled, so the trailer is actually pushing the bus, and that just struck me as being an interesting thing to do. So I've got two different ideas and I don't really know which one I want to do. Neither are particularly easy to do. I suppose, or at least not to do it in a reasonable sort of way. Even well, the main problem is going to be getting the gearboxes and things that are needed for that sort of project. In theory, the idea was potentially also to use a 3D printer to make things, but I suspect the quality of it will not be sufficient for what I'd like. But yes, it looks like I'm going to have to start doing some of these sorts of things. Perhaps stop doing some of the art stuff and just do some building stuff. Just because otherwise there isn't a lot of time in the week otherwise to do these things. I was just trying to think then if I was going to do any of the cross stitching or the other stitching stuff that I've got to do on stream. I was just trying to think how to do it, because I don't stitch at the desk. I actually stitch that on the settee in one particular place in the settee, because it's just the right way to support everything. And I was just trying to think if I was going to do that, just how I get a camera in the right position. And then, well, monitor I suppose isn't too hard, because I've got this monitor here, which is portable of course, and I can see chat on that. And I could potentially even control things with that. Actually, having said which, it might even be powerful enough to do the broadcast itself. I'm sure it probably is actually. Might be something I'll try one of these days, because I can get the OBS portable, so I'll be able to plug the cameras into it and see what it does. Yeah. So, yeah, I was about to say it's February tomorrow, not quite. Go back to work and I start what we call the month-end work. So, being as I work in with a finance database, at the end of each month, start of each following month, we do about, I was going to say 90%, but about 60% of the work of the month, and most of the actual database work takes place. So it's going to be busy for me for the next week. Hopefully that won't affect any streams, but I won't actually know until it does, or doesn't, as the case may be. I am looking forward to those. I am on holiday in a couple of weeks. Got a whole week off. Not that I can probably do much with it. Maybe I'll start some of this building stuff. I might even show that sort of thing if I did that. The question would be whether I actually broadcast it or not. Don't know. So, anybody out there? Is there anybody there? I bet there isn't. Probably I'm talking to myself. Maybe, we'll see. Let's see what Twitch thinks. Okay. So, two displays. One of them's lying. Don't know which one it is. Twitch says there's somebody out there. Welcome to the studio, good evening. I am doing this craft tonight because I give myself a rest. I've been carving recently, relief carving, and because of the way I have to do it, it gives me neck ache. and I can stand that for about 3 or 4 days, and then it gets a bit much, so I change to something else for a little bit, because I can do this. In fact, that reminds me, I just needed the desk up a little bit more. I can do this without putting my neck real down, which I have to do when I'm carving, so I get to rest it and do something different. Plus it's a bit easier normally to interact with chat whilst I'm doing this, because when I'm using a chisel, which is razor sharp, you want to concentrate on what you're doing, or at least enough not to actually do dangerous things with it. And I'm sure lots of people that might watch want to see the red stuff spreading out all over the place, but they're going to be unlucky. I don't want to see it. So when I'm carving, I do tend to sort of concentrate a little bit more on that, just from a safety perspective, of course. But with this, it's a bit easier. The only thing that happens is I might get a dot in the wrong place. So if you are watching, wondering what these are, they're plastic dots. They're plastic. They're dome shaped, so flat bottom, dome shaped top, and they're faceted, a bit like a diamond would be, cut on the top. And that cut faceting makes them sparkle. So when you're looking at the screen at the moment, you can see sort of white dots like around here. They're not white dots, they're the sparkle. And just to illustrate the point, if I just move the board slightly, you can see the sparkle. And that's the whole point of this picture, is that it sparkles. So if you have this on display somewhere, for example, and you walk past it, especially if there's a light on it or sun's on it sparkles all over, just shimmers and sparkles, beautiful sort of thing. So this is a bit like painting by numbers, or it's also been described as being a bit like cross stitch. You've got the pattern in front of you, it's got numbers and letters on it, and you refer to the key which is up here at the right hand side, which says number 7 on here is packet number 7, and then you tip these dots out and then you put them in the corresponding area. So I'm working on number 4 here, so this colour, I put a dot wherever there's a number 4. So it's a relatively simple thing to do. You need reasonable coordination just to put it in the right place, because what you're doing is this canvas is glued, and it's not impossible to remove these dots. It's not specifically all that difficult as such. You probably need something like a sharp knife though to do it, just to get underneath. And you can slide them about a little bit, but the only real problem is if you put them in completely the wrong place. It's alright for the odd one, most of the time you can't tell, but if you put a whole block, like you put all white here, then it would look odd, and it'd be a pain in the neck to try and correct it. But this can be quite an interesting sort of social thing to do as well. So you put this flat on a table and 2 or 3 people can get round it and do bits. Because you don't need to be any particular angle, you can look at it from any side. And put the dots on. The only thing is you only get one of these tools for each kit, but you get one with each kit, so if you have more than one kit you soon accumulate these things. One thing I haven't seen, don't know if it's possible, whether you can actually get these dots just by the dots and by a canvas which is sticky, because it'll be a contact adhesive of some kind, and therefore do your own, get your own colours, do your own picture. Would kind of be interesting. It's the equivalent of a cross stitch and designing your own pattern. Actually, you could probably use the same software. To do it as well. Because effectively, while these are dots, the squares type dots, well, these are round, but you know, the canvas is into sort of squares. And some of these kits do completely cover the canvas. You know, they don't have a picture like this printed on. I did one not so long ago of a close-up of a cat's head when its eye. So it would be something which would be technically possible to design your own. Take a picture that you've already got, maybe even something like a photograph, for example, and convert it into a pattern, and then get the right coloured dots and stick them on. That would turn it from a craft into an art form. I mean, this might be art, but I'm not specifically generating the art, whereas something like I've just discussed, if you got your own picture and then did it, then completely different thing. Well, it seems like tonight is really quiet. What looked at Twitch tonight? Has everybody gone home? I know it's a Sunday and it's work or school or college tomorrow, but tapping this, by the way, is for the reason that you need to pick these dots up. I don't know exactly what's causing it. There's wax in the end of this, so I don't know if it's static electricity or just a slight sticky attachment to the wax. But you have to pick them up, dome side up, because you want to put them down flat side down. And as they are in this tray, a lot of them are upside down, so if I just tap it like that, they bounce, and the ridges as well tend to help flip them. You end up with some that are the right way up to be picked up. Without having to sort of fiddle and try and flip them with a tool or with something else, like a pen or a blade or something. The only thing you have to be careful is not to flick it too hard, because then they jump all over the place. And these things sort of disappear into carpets quite easily. That song that's playing has a resemblance to Doctor Who, with background theme that's going there. Incidentally, you'll see me periodically do that, and the reason for doing that is not just because I want to touch the end. Somehow, don't know how, but there's a static electric charge builds up on this on the end of this, and it attracts the dots. Maybe it helps them stick on the end. But what happens is when there's builds up, and then they sort of, you end up picking about 5 or 6 of the one that you were trying, and the rest just stick. And that's irritating because they won't let go. And you can't sort of put things down on the work because they'll then stick where they're not supposed to. So when I do that, I'm just dissipating the static charge, and then they don't stick to each other, which saves quite a bit of frustration. So I worked out you could do that because they prior to that they were sort of sticking to each other and making a right mess of things. I'm going to get a drink of my tea in a moment. But I'm going to get a drink of my tea now. Plus it's still hot. It's a good thing for artists is tea, and coffee for that matter. Alcohol not so good. We're coming up to 8 o'clock. Okay, so we're about halfway through the stream this evening. I normally, so far anyway, stream 7 nights a week. I start as I did tonight, well, approximately as I did tonight, around 7 PM UK time. And I stream for about 2 hours till about 9 PM UK time. So we're about an hour through the stream at the moment. And sometimes a little bit late, like I was tonight. There's a piece of software. Yeah, I'm not going to restart just at the moment. A piece of software was started updating itself. Don't quite know how it decided to do that, but and I was waiting for it to finish, although it took about. It hadn't finished, and it has finished now, I've just noticed. And it wants to restart the computer, so I'm hoping it doesn't just go ahead and do it. But it was about 20 minutes or so, and it still hadn't finished, so I decided I was going to start streaming, and hopefully things weren't going to happen that were going to kill the stream. And it looks like they haven't. It's taken an awfully long time for that to install. The patch it downloaded was only about 200 megabytes, so it wasn't even a big patch. Hoping I don't have to get any more of these out. Looks like I've nearly finished, but I'm sure I'm going to miss one or two. I've got one stuck to each other now. It's relatively or surprisingly relaxing to do this. I mean, I'm doing it on stream, which isn't necessarily as relaxing as it would be otherwise, but it's I have done this outside of the stream, and it's nice to just sit back, relax, listen to some music or play a video and just place dots. I'm trying to get rid of a hair that's in the tray. It's not like some hobbies or some of the crafts I do, like when I'm carving or...
Sorry, I'm not sure.
I know it's not like some of the things that I do, like carving and stuff like that, where I have to really concentrate. You might not be sure, I am. So it kind of makes a change for me to be able to just almost, I won't say kick back, but or even sit back since I'm standing. But you get the idea. Come on, turn over. I only need a few more. Possibly even only 2 more. Come on, turn over. It's like the chainmail rings that I use. I talk to them a lot, telling them where they're going to go. And talking to the rings, like talking to these dots, is perfectly fine. The only problem comes with when they start talking back. Now then. So, alright, can I see any more number 4 on here? I'm sure there'll be some that'll appear, and when they do, I'll either decide, no, and just fill it in with a different colour, or I'll actually have to get some more out. There is more than I need, and there's some still in the pack. So, no, can't see any. So I'll throw these last few away. There's no point in even trying to put them back in the box or the bag. We'll start the next colour, which is number 5. Number 5. No, 5 alive. Yeah, 5. Number 5 is alive. Yeah, 5. Science fiction film. Was it John 5? Might call himself, but it was a robot anyway. That effectively became alive or intelligent. I actually really remember the story all that much. Okay. Now I am trying to keep my fingers and hand off the bits that don't have dots on at the moment, because there is adhesive on them. I don't want to get skin oils on the adhesive, or indeed hairs or anything else, because that will eventually stop the dots sticking. And since the whole point of this is that the dots stick, you can see how it's something to avoid. Now often, or usually, I leave the plastic protective sheet, and I usually leave it on and just peel a bit away so I can get to the dots. I can then rest on the plastic sheet. But once you start getting to this point where most or a large proportion of it's covered, the sheet doesn't stick, and it's more trouble than it's worth trying to keep it there. So at the moment it's just over to the side here, and I will try and get it to stay on when I've finished for this evening, just to protect it from sort of dust in the room and things, and the odd cat hair that's flying around the place. always seems to go faster as you get more of the dots in. This is of course purely subjective, and it probably stems from the fact that you're filling in bits like this, so it feels like you've done a lot just because it's suddenly now there's no gaps where there was before. Oh, that does sound like a quote from Star Trek. There are no gaps now where there was before. Interestingly, I only learned yesterday that the Amazon digital assistant actually knows the catchphrases for the Star Trek captains. So things like "make it so" and "beam me up" and "engage," these sorts of things. I must get around at some point. It's another thing to do. Write in an Alexa. Cancel. App. But one that will talk to a server here. Just so that I can control one or two things, or do one or two things that I can't do in the cloud. May have to stream something like that as well. Yeah, lots of things I could stream, lots of things I probably won't. Yeah, it's quite fun. I'm not quite sure that's the word for it, but when you've got like this, I'm hunting for the ones that are the right way up. I don't quite know why, kind of psychological to get them all, I guess, a bit like Pokemon. And when I can just sort of tap it and turn a load more over. Must be something about trying to do it the hard way, I don't know. Sometimes some of these things are stuck together for whatever reason by something. I mean, I know these are probably all, in fact they're probably manufactured in great big long strings of things, because sometimes you see them with little spurs between joining them together. But they're surprisingly cleanly cut if that's how they are made. Kind of wary when you tap it like that, because as I say, a slightly too strong a tap and they'll go all over the thing. Which in this particular case will either mean some of them sticking where they're not supposed to be, or it means they'll slide down here and go let's do this ski ramp that's at the bottom and straight on the floor, and then I'll have fun in capital F. Trying to pick them all up. Hello, Wolfie. You're very late, you can explain. Okay. You don't have to explain, but if you want to, you're welcome to do so. I was thinking about my tea. Tomorrow the dev of the tech support the game will come over to the stream and ask some questions. What, my stream? And ask you questions? Are you going to stream yourself? Oh, that's a long time ago though. But I don't mind talking about it. It is a long time ago though, Wolfie, you know. It's not well, it's not exactly a recent experience. I mean, I do sort of troubleshooting and things like that these days, but mainly on data more than anything. But if I can help by answering questions, I don't mind doing so. You got something called a difference of opinion. Okay. The dev always wins. What did you have a difference of opinion about? They do indeed. But of course, it's the dev who has to develop it. So ultimately it's his choice that wins. Or her choice, to be more precise, I guess. Their choice, how about that? That's gender agnostic. Now, I am just being silly here, trying to get this last one. Right, let's put some more dots in. I'm doing number 5. It kind of is everywhere, isn't it? I kind of don't specifically think of gender. I mean, even when I say him, I'm not being gender specific. I'm not particularly thinking male when I say him. I mean, I quite often will say sir and refer to the person at the other end when, again, it's a gender specific sort of term, but I'm not being gender specific with it. Yeah. Seen that in quite a few streams. It's one thing that stops a lot of women streaming on Twitch is the treatment that they get from some of the viewers. Yeah, that's kind of true. It's sad, but it's true. There's been a few that actually do that have back when I first started streaming, there was quite a few women used to come and watch that sort of wanted to stream but were afraid of it, and because of people like that was they didn't want to have to deal with, and I mean back then what I used to say was, you don't need them to watch you. somebody says something that you do not like, just ban them. Don't need to warn them, don't need to talk to them, just ban them. Problem is gone. You don't need those people as viewers. And if they subscribe, say if they sort of follow you, so what? They still can't talk, they still can't bother you. Just deal with it that way if you like. Just ban them. You don't need them. They're not worth putting up with just so you've got an extra viewer, you know. Yeah. I mean, sometimes sort of trolls are annoying enough without them getting into that sort of area. And as you've probably noticed, I don't know whether you'll have noticed, because we don't get too many these days. But I don't particularly put up with them. I will either just ban them, or I will sort of say stop doing that. And if they don't, then I ban them. You can't prevent it now. You can make it difficult for them to be in a stream. I mean, the communities that are on that, some of the streamers just would not put up with people doing that, and it's. There's absolutely no reason to be offensive or anything, you know. It's kind of like it's like the trolls who come in and start having a go at you because they don't like what you're doing. Don't watch it. I mean, I have the last laugh when people go on about about what I'm doing, and I know they're trying to get me to be bothered by it, and I'm not. I find a lot of trolls amusing because they're telling me how bad something is, but they're watching it. So they are contributing to the success of the stream because they're watching it. They get counted as a viewer and as a view. So it just amuses me. But I tend to ban people like that because I don't particularly want to be like an 18+ broadcaster. I, for example, you'd notice I don't swear or anything like that. Very rarely do I swear. Occasionally do, but which means I'm doing things which I would hope is okay for anybody of any age to watch and have fun watching and not be worried about. Yeah. Don't add them. There's absolutely no reason why you have to. I mean, why would you want to communicate with somebody that makes you uncomfortable, He doesn't there's no advantage to it at all, and it just makes you not want to do whatever it is that you're doing. So it's completely counterproductive. Just bye, ban whatever it is. I mean, that's why on here, you actually have mod status on here, and if somebody's been offensive, you're quite welcome to ban them, and I won't change the status of that. Yeah, the only way you get around that is to sort of in places where you're able to sort of read more messaging, you know, like more public forums, you can have a look at how they generally behave, I guess, and then decide from that. But yeah, it's, I mean, what I'd say is, yeah, okay, if you, it's quite alright to make a mistake, you know. It's if you've added somebody and they turn out to do something, you either just say, don't do that, I don't like it, and I'll ban you if you do, or you know, whatever, you know, unadd you, whatever the equivalent is. Or you just, first time they do it, you just blow them away and they don't get a second chance. And ultimately, if enough people do the same thing, they might eventually get the message that what they're doing just isn't acceptable, and it saves it for something, it saves somebody else. But there's definitely no way you should ever feel uncomfortable by something that somebody is saying or doing. If it is, it's just not worth it. You know, these people that sort of think popularity is by the number of people that they've added, as you know, on an app or something like that, counts for nothing really. The only time that counts for something is if you're trying to sell advertising. You see it a lot on things like Twitter and other things, when you just get random people following you, and it's kind of like, why? And of course they then expect you to follow them, and it's kind of, I only follow people that I have an interest in following. I don't follow people just because they followed me. Yeah, and it does make you cynical, as you say. You kind of expect everybody else to be like that. Of course, not everybody is, but it does become, after a while, kind of like self-preservation. You don't want to be bothered by that again, so you avoid it by. It's perfectly a perfectly natural thing. Oh dear, junior coffee, who for some reason has taken to lying in the bathroom these days for the past few days. It's slightly darker in there, and it's a bit more out of the way. He's perhaps not feeling fantastically well. Have I done all the number 5? Looks like it. When are we now? 8:30. Let's do the number 7, and then once we've done the number 7 we'll stop. which might be early, but I've not had an evening meal yet, so I'm starting to think about food. And no, Lady Zara hasn't had hers either. Number 7. I like the way with these. They've even worked, I won't say worked out how many you need, but they have worked out proportionally that you kind of need more of them than them, and they've actually packaged them in different weights, just because you need more 8s than you need 9s. Kind of, yeah, well, it's sort of saving money, I guess, but it's kind of like it must be only fractions of a pence, and yet they go ahead and do it. I suppose it adds up when you've got sufficient number of them. Then when you're selling thousands of kits, perhaps it probably adds up to quite a lot of money. Yeah, indeed, it is. Indeed lucky. You're not like that, are you? Hope not. Although you were a little bit of a troll, as you've mentioned before. I've got a feeling there's more of these on here than I thought when I was looking at it. So I think what have I got for my tea tonight? Oh yes, potato wedges with a Mexican style mincemeat with jalapeno peppers. I tend to like spicy foods, so. Now thinking about that, it's making me feel hungry. Now this pink is really just subtly different to the one it's going next to. But I guess that's the point in a way. Okay. I'm obviously getting tired as well. Reason being is I'm not talking quite as much as I was earlier. When I start going silent, that's usually when I start to know I'm telling... It's there! That's when I start to know I can't speak properly. That's when I know I start to confuse things completely. What I'm trying to say is, I know when I start going silent, it usually means I'm feeling tired. Oops, that was one that shot. Okay, pair tweezers because it went in completely the wrong place. There. I knew that would happen at some point. Tap it sufficiently hard and it jumps out of the tray. There's definitely more of these number 7 than I thought. They seem to just be appearing. Looked at it earlier and thought, well, that's the usual thing. Oh, there's only a few minutes. Yeah, do the number 7. There's only a few of them. They won't take very long. Yeah. I'll probably still be here after an hour trying to finish these. You think by now, having done this as many kits as I've done, sounds like I've done hundreds, but having done a few of these kits, I'd realised by now that just because it looks like there isn't very many, it doesn't mean that there aren't hundreds of the things. And it does help to actually put a dot on the page when you try and put one on and not just push the end of the tool against the page. I'm wary now of tapping. I'll probably go back to just dropping it gently on the desk. I'm kind of waiting for the day when I accidentally upend the whole tray, having just filled it up. I can see it's going to happen one day. And at that point I may just swear, although it's very likely I'll just say sugar, which is usually what I do if I really well, if I kind of want to swear. It's usually how I do it. Say sugar. Of course, anybody that knows me at that point knows I'm really annoyed. It took a few years of practice as well to say sugar now instead of swearing. Now it's totally natural to me. But at least you can do that on a family-friendly stream without any problems. I mean, it's hard to be offended about sugar. It's in lots of drinks and things, so... Oops, sorry about that. I keep catching the camera. It can be quite hard when you're looking in this tray to see which ones are the right way up and which ones are the wrong way up. The way I found to do it completely sort of counterintuitively, I guess, is if it's shiny, it's the wrong way up. If it's dull, then it's the right way up. And it kind of sounds silly when these things are designed to sparkle, but for some reason the bottoms are kind of highly polished as they've come out of the mould, and the tops. Probably actually because the tops are scattering the light for the sparkle, which is why I don't see them look as shiny. But yeah, whilst I'm doing this, I'm looking for the ones that aren't shiny. So quick tip there for anybody who's doing this.
wear a false mask and they say it's for real. Is it arrogance, ignorance, mental disturbance? Either way, didn't think I deserved this. The closest thing I've got to a cure for this malady is a pen and a book full of rhymes. Rescue remedy. What's the cure for that? Still trying to find a way to keep buzzing. What's the cure for that?
Let's get a few more in.
What's the
Number
cure for that? Still trying to find a way to
7.
keep buzzing.
7.
What's the cure for that? Keep on until the world starts rocking.
These are one of those things that you can't get rid of. When you try and pick them up, they don't let go because they're static on your fingers. And the reason I don't try and put them back in the plastic bag is because they just cling to the bag as you're trying to put them in, and it becomes a frustrating exercise. But since they give us so many extra, I don't bother, I just throw them away. I don't put loads out, so I have to throw loads away, but because once you've done the picture, the dots are that are left are absolutely no use to you at all. Because it's not actually like they use a consistent colour. So the number 7 isn't always. It might, on another picture, the number 7, which I'm doing now, may be black, and therefore you can't sort of go, oh, number 7 is this colour, and it's not. So if you were to try and do something like this yourself with, I don't know, maybe a piece of canvas with some contact adhesive on it, you'd be picking them out by eye as to which colour you wanted. And picking colour out by eye is not an easy thing to do. I need some more out. Is it? Well, for anybody that's watching, if you want to see something different tomorrow night, we'll be back to the carving, the relief carving of the main image from a Hearthstone card, the Feral Gibberer. Coming along quite nicely now is that. We're getting to actually carving out the gibber itself. It's a hairy thing, so that's an interesting challenge. I'm trying to represent hair reasonably well in a carving. With a level of realism. Now I know a gibber isn't real. Well, let's assume it's not real. But you know, when I mean realism, I mean hair that looks like hair. Quite often, what they do in carvings is they'll do like clumps of hair, big blocks of hair. Which is looks slightly different to. It's a bit. It can often look like you sort of plaited hair, not plaited, but sort of like plaited, but without the plaits. So you've got sort of fairly rope-like lengths of hair. There's no way of carving every individual strand, but right, we're getting close now. Only a few more to go. It's when you're doing these sorts of things, you do tend to set yourself goals like, oh, I just finished that area, or I just finished that one colour, and it's a minor excitement as you approach your goal. And I think of much more exciting things, jumping out of a plane without a parachute, these sorts of things, but this is, as goals go, that finishing off a number or an area is definitely one of the safer ones. Not done it with this yet, but one of the things I'd love to happen is for me to tip out just exactly the right number down to the last one of these things that I needed. I've done that sometimes with chainmail, where I've tipped out just exactly the right number of rings and be able to sort of finish it and none left over. Not happened here though, not this time. I've got a few. So can I see another number 7 on there first? No, I can't. I can't. Indeed, this is, as you know, this is just to give my neck a rest, because it is actually it's quite a lot of stress on the neck when you carve it. You've got your head down because you're carving over the top of something. One reason I don't particularly like that vice. Maybe later this year I might well replace that vice with one that I can actually sort of tilt the work towards me, so I can maybe sort of sit or even have the bench up here and work so my neck is more upright. Getting old, you see, my neck muscles aren't as strong as they used to be. But yes, tomorrow night we will go back to carving the feral gibber. I have no idea, it's probably that way up. So I have finished this for this evening. I'm not going to get another colour out. It's almost 9 o'clock anyway. I'm going to get some food. Haven't eaten an evening meal yet, so I will be doing so after this stream. Anybody that wants to come back and see the stream tomorrow, where there will be carving with very sharp chisels, will be here in the studio from around 7 PM UK time, or as soon after that as I can manage, subject to eating meals or anything else that might unfortunately happen. And then we'll go on for about 2 hours. And yeah, what I was going to say was, if you want to catch up, if you haven't seen any of the feral gibber, there's probably the VODs are still here on Twitch, but if you prefer, you can also see them on YouTube, youtube.com/ZaragonArt. And if you want to be notified, then of course there's the follow button up there, as well as the subscription and bits buttons, which help support the stream by buying the equipment and stuff like that, which is needed for you to see what's going on, or for me to do things for you to see what's going on. And what else was I going to say? Yes, if you also would like notifications, you can also follow me on Twitter. I'm at ZaragonArt, where I tweet when I go live. Yeah, I did remember tonight. I suddenly thought I'd forgotten then. And I will also tweet if I can't, which is a bit better than Twitch, because sometimes I can't get onto Twitch to actually put a notice up there. So if you wonder where I am, always go check out ZaragonArt on Twitter, and if I haven't been able to stream, you'll probably see a tweet there. So with that, thank you all for watching. Hope I'll see you on the next stream tomorrow evening. Bye for now.